I want to start this off by saying I do not condone any harassment, if any is being pointed towards Echo or any of the Mistralia staff team. If I do find out that you're exhibiting this behavior, you will be blocked. Because I do not associate with that at all. Now, I do want to start with, I originally wasn't going to include this, but since it happened, I do want to include it to be fully transparent. The staff team of Mistralia banned me on November 1st during the night because my video is quote-unquote misinformation. As you can see from the screenshots, Echo alleged that I had endangered her family and that I was trying to push an agenda. Now, I want to get started because, well, I want to get started on a certain thing. Please, guys, do not share personal information on the internet. Now, I didn't know that Echo's account had any personal information, nor did I really seem to check. But let's go over a little bit of internet safety. As you can see, I put a guide before you right now. Sharing personal information also includes your face, your location, and maybe even your phone number. Now, keep in mind, during my video, I never explicitly said Echo's name, I never explicitly said where she lives, or even how to find her account. I just said specifically her username that she goes by on the internet. Alleging that I'm endangering your family is a very serious allegation because I never pointed anyone towards any personal information. Any personal information you had on your account is your fault. It is not my fault that you didn't follow internet safety, nor is it something that I caused. Echo also claims that I'm trying to push an agenda. There is no agenda I'm trying to push. I'm simply trying to put out the context that is needed to fully understand the situation, and that neither side is innocent in this. In this ticket, we went back and forth, and Eclipse kept trying to get me to share the receipts with her. I didn't trust sharing the receipts because I didn't know if they were going to be posted like I wanted them to. I didn't know if they were going to be tampered with, or I didn't know if they were going to ban me once they got the receipts. Nor did I know if they were going to try to cherry pick certain information from these screenshots. I explicitly kept saying and putting down my boundaries that I do not want to share these screenshots and that I'm waiting to make a receipt video so that it can all be concise and something you can understand. Here's a video of me scrolling through part of the ticket. You can read for yourself and pause to read, but I'm trying to make this video as quick and as concise as possible. As you can see in those screenshots, I tried to make sure that they had a basis of understanding that I did not trust them, yet they still kept pushing to try to get these receipts out of me. In the excuse of understanding. But the issue is that I wasn't trying to do it simply just for understanding, but so that the public could know exactly what's going on behind the scenes in Mistralia. Specifically, the issue with these bad actors that we have in the community. Now we're going to start with the precise timeline that I created of the situation and the instances of what happened. Everything started on October 23rd and 24th, where Eclipse started suggesting that Katie should step down from her role and leave the server to them. I have multiple screenshots where she explicitly says this, that she should step down and that she should leave the server to them. On October 26th is when Katie finally decided to step down, and both her and Echo agreed that this would happen. It was a very consensual conversation. While it was sudden, it wasn't dumped on them like the announcement suggests. As you can see, those screenshots did not show any negativity where Echo said that she was uncomfortable with taking the server. Echo was actually ecstatic to take the server into her hands. Now let's get into the announcements. As you can see from this announcement, Echo suggests that she only had 10 minutes to prepare, and yet the conversation between her and Katie lasted at least 30 minutes. She had within those 30 minutes to try to mentally prepare herself. Keep in mind the conversation started around 4:30, and the initial transferring happened at 5 o'clock. Keep in mind Echo wasn't alone. Over the next 2 to 3 days, Katie was helping her transfer everything and helping her understand how to run a server. Katie never dumped this on her or left her alone with this. She was planning to help her with everything, and even gave her the resources that she'd need to do so. Within this announcement, Echo also pleads that she's doing this out of transparency. And yet, Eclipse, which is a director, on the 23rd and 24th was suggesting that Katie step down. You'd think that Eclipse might tell Echo about this or may even try to have a conversation about it. On the night of the 29th in the director's chat, Katie and Eclipse were having a conversation, and Eclipse was claiming that it was unfair that Katie was leaving everything to them. But yet Eclipse a few days earlier was claiming that they could handle it and that Katie should step down and that she should leave the server to them. Eclipse within the span of few days went from "we can handle it" to "this is unfair." In this screenshot, Echo claims that the reason why she had taken away their perms was because the documents were labeled as new, or the rules documents was labeled as new, and she was afraid that someone had tampered with them. No, she didn't check who actually had tampered with them, as usually in Google Drives or in Google Documents, there is a editing history that you can access. Echo did not do that to prove who was even touching them, or if it was even Katie and her crew. Even at the time of the incident, you can access the document and scroll down and put their cursor over where their cursor is to see who exactly is touching it. Echo did not do that, nor gave screenshot proof of if these documents were even tampered with. In this screenshot, you can see that Echo admitted that she was a part of their perms to being removed the night of October 29th. During October 29th, their perms had been removed, and Katie and her group had woken up to no permissions in the server. Couldn't chat, couldn't talk, or couldn't even see any of the chats. They could do nothing. They were in practically what is called the MCH artist jail. Though, of course, Katie reaches out to Eclipse, and during that time, Eclipse didn't reply, and Katie had assumed they were being ignored, considering that Katie saw that they were being active elsewhere. Within 30 minutes, Katie realizes she's not going to get a response, so she gets upset and says, quote unquote, "fuck you." Now, I'd understand getting upset considering that Katie is burnt out. She doesn't know why her perms are taken away, nor does she know what's happening. After this, she then reaches out to Echo. During that time, Echo was asleep but woke up a little bit after these messages were sent. Here's the conversation they proceeded to have. As you can see, Katie got really heated in these messages, and I really don't blame her. After sitting there without permissions, of course you're gonna think, why should I keep my shit in the server? I think anyone would rightfully feel like that, especially after the people you thought you could trust suddenly took away your stuff based off of a feeling that they had when they saw that documents had been touched and had the new tab on them. Katie only started deleting stuff after her perms were taken away, not before. Keep in mind, in these screenshots, Echo acts like she doesn't know what is going on, and yet she was the one who helped make the decision that they should have their perms taken away. It's strange that Echo would act like she doesn't know what's going on, and yet she was there when this decision was made. It seems very ingenuous, but also seems blatantly false. Echo says, quote unquote, the attacks are continuing, the threats are continuing, and the plotting is continuing, but yet doesn't show any proof of this actually happening. While I can understand if people outside of the situation may send threats because they are not good actors, that shouldn't exactly change anyone's opinion on Katie, because Katie isn't the one who is inciting these people to do so. Katie has only been sharing screenshots and her account of what has been going on. And I don't blame her. I genuinely feel like Echo is blatantly slandering her in these announcements. At the end of the announcement, she said, quote unquote, I feel like I was given this just so they could watch me fail. Stating that in itself is slanderous, but also the fact is that this was stated in an announcement with a server with over 1,000 people. The fact that Echo thought this was even okay actually genuinely fucking infuriates me, because you're putting this in an announcement to thousands of people who are going to believe you because they look up to you. These are a bunch of people who are blatantly believing her without even thinking, hey, maybe possibly that isn't the case. And I don't blame them for not thinking about that, because they'd expect that maybe the person they look up to wouldn't lie or wouldn't say slanderous things about the ex-owner of the server. And yet Echo did. Now let's get on to the situation about the venting with Nightlock. Katie had went to Nightlock venting about her perms being taken away in the server. Nightlock, of course, acts all buddy-buddy and supportive of her, even comforting her in these very hard times. In these screenshots, you can see Nightlock comforting her and talking to her about the situation. But yet the night after, Nightlock proceeds to talk about her in the announcement chat after the announcement is made. So rightfully so, Katie gets really upset and gives her a very colorful message, considering that she trusted Nightlock and that she thought Nightlock would, at least, talk to her through this. And here's the video of Nightlock talking about her. Pause if you need to. Nightlock claims that she was made to do profiles and rules without being part of the staff team. Which that's not a bad thing in itself. I was not part of the staff team and I also worked on profiles. I was paid $25 to spell check over at least 15 different profiles. During that time, I was not forced or rushed. There was no reason for this announcement channel to even be made, considering the only messages that are in it are hateful and slanderous things that Echo and Eclipse like to perpetrate. They said it was for the, under the guise of, for questions. And yes, while some questions are answered, mostly the chat just ended up perpetrating hateful narratives. When I had even expressed my opinion in there, in which I'm allowed to have my opinion, I proceeded to get attacked by multiple people, and the moderators only did something about it after I pointed out that I was being jumped by people, because people had discovered my TikTok and really didn't like it. And while I understand not liking my TikTok because it is very opinionated, all of my opinions are based off of the information that I've seen and the screenshots that I have digested. I myself actually had an experience with Nightlock during these past few days. The day of my ban, when I was getting jumped in the announcement chat, Nightlock had said that I was drama mongering in people's DMs and threatened that she had screenshots of it. Keep in mind, I know which exact conversation she's talking about. It was a conversation of opinion, and when they asked me to stop talking about it, I completely stopped talking about it as they asked. I blocked out their name to protect their identity, but during this whole conversation I was nothing but respectful and even stopped after they asked. I completely stopped messaging them. I only asked them for a link to a certain thing afterwards. I never pushed any type of agenda towards them. I just said, hey, trying to provoke a little free thinking. The fact that Natelock tried to use these DMs against me to try to say on drama mongering in a chat full of people actually genuinely upsets me. I was never drama mongering in these DMs, and I'm showing them to be transparent now. You can see I was never drama mongering or pushing any type of narrative towards this person. The fact that Nightlock pushed away the idea that maybe this was a conversation made out of good faith just because they were trying to have a gotcha moment with me really tells me that the staff members of what's left of Mistralia aren't really the best. It also shows me that they're willing to keep these bad actors on their team. If anything, Nightlock was someone trying to push an agenda, saying that I'm drama mongering. During the time of making this video, today, on November 3rd, Mistralia actually decided to rebrand itself. And I think it's to try to get away from the allegations that are starting to pile up on their name. They're now going by the Alterra Research Archives. Before you, I now have created a collaboration of different things Echo has said in the announcement chat that have been proven to be lies. She says full transparency is what she's offering, and yet I got banned from the Discord for simply saying straight up that I don't think that's exactly what's happening. Tell me that there might be something missing without telling me that there might be something missing. After Katie and the others had deleted their contribution to the server, Echo proceeded to throw a pity party, acting as if any of this wasn't warranted. She sits here and claims, oh, well, they're hurt, so it's valid, and yet proceeds to make an announcement about it, completely slandering Katie's name and throwing her under the bus. The moment shit got hard and the moment that she got rough, everybody's acting like the victim. Well, not everybody, you know exactly who I'm talking about. There's 3 specific people that I'm calling out here. The rest of the staff team, I have no issue with. I understand that, they're just there to be staff. A lot of them are trying to push these slanderous things back Katie. So, at the end of the day, I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at the people who are pushing these narratives and then proceeding to say that other people are pushing agendas. People are saying that I'm exhibiting high school behavior by calling this out, and yet all that does is try to belittle the points that I'm making. The points that I'm making are still perfectly valid, and calling it quote-unquote high school drama and shit, it's kind of crazy, considering that Echo was the one to begin this in the first place. But suddenly when she gets pushed back, she wants it quote-unquote all to end and be over with. At this point, it's not just drama. When Echo is making full-on announcements to a server that has more than 1,000 people, slandering Katie's name, and yet leaving so much context out of the announcement. She swears that she's being transparent, and yet she's not exuding it at all. There's a difference between preaching and actually taking action. The fact that Echo claims to be transparent and yet is not actually being transparent with the community infuriates me, because I was somebody who really enjoyed this community and actually loved being part of it. And now I'm having to watch them be blatantly lied to by somebody that they think is the innocent one. I feel like at this point, the only thing I can do is make a public video. Echo, if you're watching this, I hope you understand. I don't hate you. I don't think you're some monster, but I do think there's some context that has not been given to the community. And yet a lot of times you even implied that I hate you, in which I don't. I don't dislike you either. I've just disliked the things that you've done recently. While I think there's a chance for change, I feel like the damage has already been done. I feel like there is an issue within Mistralia where everybody preaches transparency and yet it's never been given. I want to be purely honest here, and this is my conclusion, which means this is also about to be opinionated. So if you don't like opinionated points, then you might want to click off now. I personally think that Echo may not have consciously done this, or maybe she has. I don't know. But I do know that what she does is harmful and has harmed Katie and also the other people involved, and has also harmed the community. The lack of transparency has deeply affected Mistralia and led them astray into a ball of hatred and this echo chamber. If you dare speak negatively of Mistralia, you get removed. That that's not how you have a good server. D- you always need some type of criticism to improve, which also includes people calling out your bad behavior. I wish Katie the best, and I wish she can get better. I understand the way she acted here. I would too. Anybody else would have acted like this in any occasion alike to this. Yet people were acting like she's the villain, and acting like they wouldn't do the same. It has to be rough for your passion, for your project to slowly fade away the more and more you get burnt out on your project. Nobody's bound to own and direct a project forever. But I do know that slandering her name and throwing shit at her like an ape and throwing her under the bus was never the right thing to do. That includes the other directors that also stepped down at that time. They have also been talked about. And it sucks to watch people go from loving and looking up to these people to flipping on a dime and hating these people within hours. It sickens me. Australia was supposed to be a community, and yet it crumbled. And the only way that something can crumble is if there's cracks in the foundation. Bad actors and bad people that make bad decisions. At the end of the day, people make mistakes, but there's a difference between a mistake and slandering somebody's name over a mistake. I really hope the directors of Mistralia, or now Alterra, can strive to be better people in the end of the day. I hope they can strive to get better and be better. While I don't agree with what they've done, I don't want to see the server crash and burn because of it. This is Pastel, signing out.